No longer confined to the restraints of having physical units that cost thousands of dollars, you can now throw an instance of Mikey on every channel your heart desires. By the end of this video, you'll know how to use Mikey in your own productions. Now, let's get into it. So Mikey is a preamp unit that also happens to have a compression and saturation unit in it that's similar to Empirical Labs' other hardware unit called the Distressor, which I'll make another video about another time. Looking at the interface, there are additional options when we click on these side menus within the Soft2 plugin. The input meter is independent of the drive. The drive is how much saturation and compression we're going to get from Mikey. However, you want to adjust. When you open up these side menus, you can use the input meter right here for more or less signal, whatever you decide to do. Then from there, we have our preamp stage, which is going to add the preamp characteristics of the Mikey. From there, we have a high pass and a phase invert, and that's all before the compression and saturation circuit. Then we have where the magic's at, the compression saturation circuit, and we're going to go from left to right on this. So when we're dialing in the drive, we're going to see these LEDs glow, which is going to tell us how much saturation we are applying to the signal, as well as the compression that we'll see over here on the meter. If you want to not have any compression or saturation, you can hit the bypass option right here on the ratio. The one-to-one option is going to bypass the compressor section and only focus on the saturation section. And then you have your ratios of 2:1, 4:1, 8:1, and nuke. Then you have your attack and release. And then you also can do external compression saturation as well. Next, we're going to talk about the emphasis circuit. So on the original units, the high frequency emphasis was available on the unit, and that would throw more high frequencies at the saturation circuit of the Mikey. But there were two additional hidden emphasis circuits. High frequency emphasis 2 is compression and saturation circuit being hit by the high end frequencies, not just the saturation circuit. And then low frequency emphasis is going to just focus those low frequencies against the compression and saturation circuit. Finally, we have our output and then our dry and compressed signal that we can blend in. I'm using Mikey to enhance the character of the drum shells, and you're going to see that as I go through all the drum tracks, except for like the room tracks where we're going to get a little bombastic with it. But for the majority, I'm just listening to the tone, what I want, and how I can use Mikey to clean that up with either compression or the saturate. So this is what I did on the first kick drum bypass. All I'm looking for is a more focused sound out of Mikey. Tightening up some of that low end that I'm not going to need, using the compression on it. Let's go to kick 2. Next, let's go to kick out. That flub a little bit. Next, we'll go to snare. Now I'm really pushing the compressor unit on this. Go to snare bottom. Go to the tom. For this one, actually, let's go to a tom section. All right, second tom. Again, just using the compression and saturation circuits on the Mikey is allowing me to get the same tone from the shell, but it's focused. And again, if you compress it too much, we have this dry knob. And now let's go to overheads. Again, the circuits to get more life. And I'm hitting the high frequencies right here on the compression and saturation circuit. Awesome. It's really making those toms and just the life of the drums come together. I really wanted to compress the room sound with Mike. Curious how far I could push the compression circuit on Mikey, because it's a little bit gentler of a compression circuit than on a Distressor. I was still able to get a pretty bombastic room by pushing that preamp and getting it a little in the red every time it hit the snare. Next, let's go to the rooms. I'm really nuking these guys. You can hear what's going on. Even at like 20 dB of compression, it still sounds really musical. It's so cool what you can get out of this. All right, so let's actually solo all these and then go to the drum bus. All right, let's bypass them and then bring it in. And let's take it to the part from the beginning. It's really impressive what Mikey can pull off when you're using that compression and saturation circuit to bring more life to the drums before you even start doing EQ or parallel drums. Just using the right preamp and compression saturation circuit off of this can really help bring more life to your drums, and it's really, really fun to see a plugin that packs so much of a punch, and you really get to hear that compression saturation characteristic that makes the Empirical Labs plugin line and their hardware so loved. If you've enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy the other videos in this series on Empirical Labs plugins, so be sure to click on that playlist and we'll see you in the next video.